This is CBC Vancouver News.
Not backing down. A protester is arrested as the pro-Palestinian movement escalates at UBC.
Could be under arrest for mischief. Clear the intersection.
Plus, using freight trains to smuggle dozens of people out of BC into Washington state. That's what U.S. authorities allege, and now 2 men have been arrested. Also, a tale of 2 sides of the bridge.
This must be a 6-lane bridge. It is built to accommodate 6 lanes.
If we're going to be a world-class city, we need active transportation and rapid transit, not no more congested road lanes.
The beleaguered Patullo replacement is drawing new and differing ideas from the mayors on either side. Hello, I'm Tanya Fletcher. Thanks for joining us. Pro-Palestinian protesters ramped up their presence at UBC's Point Grey campus today, shutting down a major intersection. For weeks now, demonstrators have been calling for the university to end financial and academic ties with Israeli companies and schools as the Hamas-Israel war drags on. As our Karen Larson reports, police here eventually made an arrest.
Today saw an escalation in tactics from the pro-Palestinian protesters who set up an encampment on a field here at UBC almost exactly 1 month ago today, demanding that the university cut ties with Israel. With graduation ceremonies set to get underway, dozens of the protesters blocked a major campus intersection at University Avenue in Westbrook Mall for almost 4 hours this morning.
You failed to clear the intersection. You could be under arrest for mischief.
At around 11 a.m., the RCMP, bolstered by members of the Vancouver Police Department, told the protesters they had to clear the intersection, which they did in front of a stout presence of officers who advanced in a line across the streets as a way of making sure. We were told by a protest leader who didn't want to be identified that one protester was arrested when police moved in. From the intersection, the protesters, I counted close to 100, moved to the Rose Garden, chanting and making speeches amid a big group of happy students from the Faculty of Engineering who were celebrating their graduation with families and friends. Again, there was a notable police presence, making for a slightly surreal scene. About an hour later, the protesters marched across campus before disbanding. The protest leader we spoke to said there could be further escalations in the coming days here at UBC. Karen Larson, CBC News, Vancouver.
U.S. prosecutors say BC freight trains are being used for human smuggling, and now 2 men have been arrested. They're facing human smuggling charges in Seattle for their alleged role in smuggling people in freight trains from BC into Washington state. The pair were arrested last week along with 3 non-citizens who were allegedly smuggled out of Canada. Court documents say the 2 men came to the attention of investigators last July. That's when border guards identified a phone number associated with, quote, numerous smuggling events through Blaine, Washington, dating back to September 2022. We'll call it a bridge apart. Surrey's mayor is taking aim at the province's plan to replace the aging Patullo Bridge. She says the new span ought to be 6 lanes now, but her counterpart in New Westminster doesn't necessarily agree. Mayor Baines has more on a deepening political divide between 2 levels of government.
The Patullo Bridge replacement project, delayed by another year and expected to open in 2025, is the focus of fresh criticism. The crossing will connect the communities of Surrey and New Westminster. Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke didn't hold back over the design.
Why we're even talking about a 4-lane bridge is the part that's so absolutely ludicrous in this whole conversation.
Surrey is growing rapidly and approaching a population of 700,000. She points out the original bridge was built in 1937 when the population was about 13,000 people.
That this must be a 6-lane bridge. It is built to accommodate 6 lanes. It said it was for the future. Well, the future is today.
The project's price tag is almost $1.4 billion and will include wider lanes and dedicated walking and cycling lanes. Last week, the province announced the construction project would be delayed by a year, now expected to open in 2025, 2 years off schedule. The province has said the delays were due to inflationary pressures and global supply issues. After a long battle between the City of Surrey and province over the transition to a municipal police force from the RCMP, BC's Premier says he's open to talking to the Mayor about the bridge.
We are moving to municipal force in Surrey, and if that frees up her time and my time so we can actually work on any of the multitude of other issues affecting the fast-growing city of Surrey, I really welcome that, even if she's critical.
He says several transportation infrastructure projects are underway in the Fraser Valley. While one mayor is unhappy with the new Patullo Bridge replacement, another mayor says 4 lanes is enough. The mayor of New Westminster says the focus shouldn't be on building more roads to connect his city and Surrey.
If we're going to be a world-class city, we need active transportation and rapid transit, not more congested road lanes.
He says the plan to replace the Patullo Bridge aligns with the region's climate goals. Mira Baines, CBC News, Surrey.
Well, controversy continues to swirl around Delta Mayor and Chair of Metro Vancouver, George Harvey, cancelling a junket to the Netherlands. It comes after rising criticism over tens of thousands of dollars in travel expenses that he billed this year, all footed by taxpayers. Chad Pawson has more on the politics at play, and he spoke with our Jessica Chung about it earlier today.
Yeah, this is sort of the latest in an ongoing saga around Delta Mayor George Harvey. Earlier this month, his councillors decided that they would vote that he not be the representative for Metro Vancouver. Okay, so this is a regional government, 21 municipalities. George Harvey was elected by a city to be the rep. He then became chair of the board. His councillors felt that he wasn't properly representing their city at the board, so he's removed as their rep, ergo he can't be chair anymore. He managed to say, let me be chair until July because I have some outstanding things to do, one of which is this trip to Amsterdam, which, let's be clear here, politicians at every level travel to learn things from other jurisdictions to bring back to their own jurisdiction. Right. So George Harvey was going to Amsterdam to learn all about diking, green infrastructure, flood mitigation protection. A big deal not only for his city, but us as a region. But now since then, there's been criticisms that it's too much money, that he shouldn't be spending this money, he shouldn't be going because he's going to be chair. The thing is that the funding was already approved in Metro Vancouver's budget. If you look here, you can see this is George Harvey, the chair. This is the chief administrative officer of Metro Vancouver. His travel budget's almost exactly the same as George Harvey's. So it's hard to know how critical we should be of this funding because this is tens of thousands of dollars, and this is the type of travel that George Harvey is meant to do.
Yeah, totally. And what's more in this story that we're talking about?
So you can't help but think that maybe there's a political angle to this. George Harvey is in his second term as mayor in Delta. He had a huge mandate the last time he was elected with 75% of the vote. Is he going to run for a third term? I don't know. But the councillors may not want him to run for a third term. Maybe one of them wants to run for a third term. So maybe this is a bit of positioning to try and discredit Harvey to have an unsuccessful third run as mayor. So it's hard not to think, considering the amount of money that's really involved here, what if this actually is, if there's not some political angle to it.
Well, human remains found 2 weeks ago in the Dawson Creek area have now been identified. Renee Didier, a 40-year-old Cree woman and mother of 2, was last seen in early December at a gas station. Several days later, she was reported missing. The RCMP's North District Major Crime Unit is now taking over the investigation. They're asking anyone who might know anything about this case to contact them. Elsewhere in northern BC, 1 year ago, the remains of a young woman were discovered on a rural property a dozen years after she had disappeared. Madison Scott has been missing since 2011. Loved ones and strangers alike have anxiously been waiting for answers about how she died and the circumstances around it. Now, as Betsy Trumpeter reports, police say they need more help from the public to solve this case.
Madison Scott disappeared from a remote campsite in 2011. The 20-year-old described as vibrant and kind, beloved in her community. For a dozen years, Madison's face was plastered on billboards across northern BC, family, friends, and the community asking for help to find her. Finally, 1 year ago this week, a tragic discovery. Madison's remains were found near a rural home. Police searched the property for weeks. 1,000 people mourned Madison at a vigil. The flag in Vanderhoof flew at half-staff. But the mystery that's haunted this community for 13 years is still not solved. On the anniversary of Madison's discovery, the RCMP has declined an interview. In a written statement, police say they can't say more to maintain the integrity of their investigation. Vanderhoof Mayor Kevin Moutre.
It's very tough to be in that hurry up and wait situation. It has been a year, but as we know in police investigations, a year actually isn't a lot of time. And we have that full confidence in the RCMP that they're doing what they need to do in the investigation. And hopefully that will come to fruition soon, and we can go through and see the justice system do what it needs to do, and see some justice happen.
Lynn Stewart works with women experiencing violence. She says Madison's disappearance and death have weighed heavily on people.
It just really brings it home that this is the reality that so many women face. And there is, just again, that disbelief that why is this still taking so long, and why did it take so long to find her?
The RCMP does say it needs more tips from the public to solve Madison's disappearance. Her family is offering a $100,000 reward, and the billboards with Madison's face now call for justice for Maddie. Betsy Trumpeter, CBC News, Prince George.
For the first time ever, the Ontario legislature has allowed the official use of a language other than English or French. New Democrat MPP Sol Mamakwa addressed the chamber in OG Cree yesterday. His words translated and transcribed into the official record. The CBC's Sarah Law has more on the significance behind it.
This is a good day. No, it's a great day. Just because it's, I get to speak that, and I get to speak my language back no matter when.
Many First Nations people are at risk of losing their language, but some First Nations youth say they're encouraged by Mamakwa's words.
Especially because it's like the language my father speaks, you know what I mean, like, and our family does. Like, to be able to just see that and see him be just unapologetically himself, and us not having to be like banned from doing it or whatever, you know what I mean? Because that's where those laws were made, and structures like that, and colonial structures. So being able to see that, I'm glad that it feels like the world's finally changing.
Looking forward, advocates say the changes at Queen's Park must be more than just symbolic.
This moment can be its most meaningful moment if we then do that work once again to rally around it and honor it with substantive action. So it's not just this individual good thing, but actually a wider phenomenon.
Guys.
Sarah Law, CBC News, Thunder Bay.
Well, some promising news about peanut allergies. A new study finds that if parents give peanuts to infants, it can actually reduce the chance of developing an allergy. The CBC's Kwabena Oduro has more on this research and how to navigate the potential allergen.
When Asher was 4 months old, his mother tried to feed him peanut butter.
It was a very, very scary, serious incident that had happened.
Within 30 seconds of being exposed, he had hives all over him, swollen lips, and respiratory distress. A call to 911 and a dose of epinephrine saved his life.
I just wanted to run out in the middle of the street and just scream. I was so scared. Being 4 months old, he couldn't talk, and I knew that he was finding it hard to breathe at that time.
But doctors say cases like his are the exception. And for most kids, introducing peanuts at an early age is the right approach.
Frequent exposure to peanut early in life was really persistent and effective, and really saved many of these children who were at high risk of having peanut allergy from having that lifelong disease.
A recent study by the National Institutes of Health in the U.S. found feeding peanut products to children regularly between infancy and the age of 5 helped reduce peanut allergies in adults by 71%.
I can't say that the rule of early introduction will work for 100%, but it works for the majority of children.
Advocacy group Allergies Quebec lists 9 foods, including eggs and dairy, that make up 90% of food allergies for school-age children. It wants to see more education for staff in schools.
instead of banning a couple foods, we need them to start by training all the staff and giving them some tools to learn about how to prevent reaction and how to manage food allergies.
Pediatricians say it starts at home, and the best approach is to introduce peanuts in small doses, known as oral immunotherapy. That's what Finnemore is giving Asher now. And she urges parents to do research, have medicine close by, and keep a close watch for at least an hour after introducing the food. Cubino Duro, CBC News, Montreal.
Still ahead, Major League Baseball makes a major change, and it all has to do with the game's statistics. We'll explain next. Welcome back. Let's take you out east now. And stocks of Atlantic cod in the Gulf of St. Lawrence are in serious trouble. A new assessment from Fisheries and Oceans Canada is reinforcing a report from 5 years ago. It found extinction of the species is not just possible in the area, but rather it's probable. And experts call it a dire situation. Up to 70% of cod in the southern Gulf don't survive beyond age 5 and are likely being eaten by the huge herds of gray seals. Now, cod were able to withstand large numbers of seals in the past, but that was before overfishing caused the cod population to collapse several decades ago. Cod stocks have fallen from 320,000 tons in the 1950s to just 12,000 tons last year. More public and private schools in Ontario are joining the legal fight against social media companies. A suit against Meta, Snapchat, and TikTok was launched in March by 4 of Ontario's largest school boards. Educators say they have to handle the fallout from what they call addictive products. They say the social media platforms have rewired the way students think, behave, and learn. In total now, the Ontario schools want upwards of $6 billion in damages. The allegations have yet to be proven in court. Similar lawsuits are also underway in the U.S. Well, baseball is often called a game of numbers. Now, the sport's decades of statistics are getting a major update. Players from the segregation-era Negro Leagues are being included now in the official record books. And as Allison Northcott tells us, that will shake up the history of the game.
This is a statue of Hall of Famer Josh Gibson. He played 14 seasons in the Negro Leagues when black players were excluded from Major League Baseball. Now, the MLB says that it's correcting a long-time oversight by including statistics from the Negro Leagues into its official records.
Major League Baseball has recognized other rival leagues, which are way back in the 19th century, the American Association of 1882, the Players League of 1890, the Union Association of 1884, the Federal League of 1914-15, but never recognized the Negro Leagues as a significant Major League caliber equivalent.
It means Gibson's now recognized as one of the league's all-time greats, unseating Hall of Famer Ty Cobb as the all-time career leader in batting average and beating out Babe Ruth as the career leader in slugging percentage. Gibson was a power hitter from Buena Vista, Georgia, and died in 1947 at the age of 35. The same year, Jackie Robinson became the first black player in Major League Baseball.
There was a quote always saying that Josh Gibson's the black Babe Ruth. And we always say, no, Babe Ruth is the white Josh Gibson. So now that will really be true.
This comes after years of research that will now see more than 2,000 player statistics officially enter the record. Major League Baseball's commissioner says the league took on this change to give fans access to the statistics and milestones of those who made the Negro Leagues possible. Allison Northcott, CBC News, Washington.
You're looking at a live shot of Science World, all lit up for Wild Salmon Day in BC, which is June 1st. And we're seeing a bit of a break from the rain, but it won't last long. Your long-range forecast is next. Well, sometimes a photo captures a moment in time that you want to remember. Other times it saves a moment you know you'll never forget. This picture, taken last summer in the North Shuswap, has just won Photo of the Year with the News Photographers Association of Canada. It was taken by our very own photojournalist Ben Nelms. It shows 3 people and an animal in a small boat, all being carried from Sorrento as the Adams Lake wildfire forced people from their homes. Nelms says documenting how people struggle can be challenging, but that it can also lead to change and a wider empathy for one another.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Let's bring in our Darius Madavi for a look at the forecast. Darius, so nice to see that sunshine come out this afternoon. Sounds like we shouldn't get too used to it, though, long term.
No, we have a few days of it, though, so we can enjoy it while it's here. Chance of some rain overnight tonight, a little bit potentially tomorrow morning across southwestern BC, but then blue skies for the next 2 days. And soak it up while it's here. We'll see why in a second. For now, I wanted to just point out the consistency of this fire danger map. Really, we're just continuing to see that higher fire danger up, very low fire danger in the south. So a little bit of good news. And given the fact that we're going to see some more rain over the next week or so, with the exception of the next 2 days, I'd expect it to stay pretty similar to what we're seeing right now. You can see here, it's not until late Friday into Saturday that we start to see the next system roll in. North Island, west coast of the island, maybe Friday is rainy as well before it starts to move into the lower mainland. It's already Saturday, so that's why we're not going to say for here it's not going to be showery on Friday. Pretty much everywhere else across the province, though, tomorrow and Friday looking very dry, looking very sunny, with the exception, again, of the north and central coast and the west coast of the island. Other than that, you're probably not going to see that rain until overnight, Friday into Saturday. Then it's a very wet weekend and a very wet start to next week. January coming in full force this year because Saturday is June 1st. And it looks like nothing but rain for the foreseeable future after that. In terms of temperatures, not much changing, pretty consistent. Temperatures coming down a little bit in the northeast over the next couple days. Other than that, we're pretty consistently just a little bit below seasonal for the foreseeable future. Coming back up, recovering a little bit in the southern interior, though, as we get those sunnier conditions tomorrow and Friday. If we look at our conditions across the province, though, still a chance of lots of convective activity in parts of the province. So don't get too used to the sunshine tomorrow morning. But Friday, looking like not much convective activity, just the sun, no thunderstorms. Here in Vancouver, maybe a drizzle tomorrow morning, but I'm not going to bother putting the rain in there because it should be mostly done by the time people are up and running. A little baby cloud on Friday, and then the showers and rain return.
We will get outside while we have that sunshine. Thanks so much, Darius.
Thank you.
And that is your late news for this Wednesday, May 29th. For news anytime, anywhere, download the free CBC News app, and you can always find us online. We're at cbc.ca/BC. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night.